guys, Marsing here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to talk about the potential units that I could see getting an EZA during the 8th anniversary. I know a lot of people are obviously very hyped for the new units, but as always when Dokkan reveals something that isn't what everyone was expecting, I have seen people saying that they're disappointed in the unit choices, especially the GT duo, because, you know, GT gets a lot of hate in the community. It has its defenders, but obviously, you know, sometimes, especially when you see, like, in communities on Twitter and the Reddit and stuff, it's almost like it's popular to hate on GT. But even with people not being super hyped about the new units, one thing that I've seen a lot of people speculating about and saying that they are very excited for is the potential for which units could get an EZA during the anniversary. So I brought up the anniversary information from last year here so we can kind of get a rough idea of what exactly we got last year as some sort of like measuring stick. Obviously we're not going to get like an exact comparison, especially considering how many LRs got an EZA during the celebration last year. But we scroll down here, we went into part 2, and it kicked off with 2 dual Dokkan Fest, well, I say Dokkan Fest, 2 dual EZAs, right? So it was one event, but to EZA 2 characters. You did get extra stones, I believe, as well, so that was good. I know a lot of people don't like it when they give multiple characters an EZA from one Extreme Z battle because they want to get as many stones as possible for free, which, you know, is fair enough. So we had the God Goku and God Vegeta, which was like the next chapter, I guess, if you want to call it that, in the Destined Rivals EZAs, which are always a Goku and a Vegeta. And then we got the Dokkan Fest Omega Shenron and Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta together. Now, these are kind of interesting to think about how they would relate to the future ones, because remember that God Goku and God Vegeta are side banner units that originally came out with the Dokkan Fest Gogeta, but Gogeta didn't have his EZA yet. We only just got that recently. And normally we see side banner units getting an EZA much later than the original unit, and you just get, like, they're what we call sub EZAs, where you just have to replay that other unit's EZA to get the medals again. And they obviously decided they weren't ready to give us the Gogeta EZA. Imagine if it had come out exactly as it is now, considering he's arguably the best EZA TUR, and this had come out like in the 7th anniversary instead of these guys. That would have been wild. But these guys came out as a double Extreme Z battle, and then this one is 2 Dokkan Fest exclusives put together. So I know straight away, like, people were slightly disappointed because they expected these to be 2 separate 30 stone stages, and I think you got, like, was it 40 in total for doing the whole thing? But it's interesting to see that we got one that was 2 Dokkan Fest exclusives and then one that was 2 side banner units. And then I believe that was it for, yeah, part 2. Then we moved into part 3, and in this one we got 2 Dokkan Fest exclusive LR EZAs with the 2 3-year anniversary units. I think this took a few people by surprise, but, you know, being the 3rd anniversary units during the 7th anniversary, they were 4 years old at this point. So definitely a worthy time to give them an EZA. And then I believe, yeah, they were the only ones in part 3. And then we got an EX part, which I think is the first time Dokkan ever did this in a celebration. I actually can't remember. And this is when they announced the 4-year EZAs as well. So this really took people by surprise. I don't think anyone realistically expected the 3-year and 4-year LRs to get an EZA. I know obviously people were saying, you know, 3 and 4 add up to 7, and that's why they did it for the 7th anniversary, but I don't think many people expected these guys to be getting their EZAs. So in total, that means we had, because this is 2 separate units as well in the same Extreme Z battle, so in total that's 4 Dokkan Fest LRs, and then 2 Dokkan Fest exclusives and 2 side banner units, but they all got their own Extreme Z battles. So, going into the anniversary, now we know that the theme technically overall is the Spirit Bomb, but the characters getting their EZAs obviously usually align with the theme, right? Because last year, the theme was essentially like Goku and Vegeta and their lineages, but then Omega Shenron got his EZA, right? Because he is, you know, who they fought as Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, so it does make sense for the theme of the characters, not necessarily directly the theme of the celebration itself. So, bearing that in mind, I've looked at a bunch of characters from the list of the Majin Buu Saga and GT Heroes, to try and get an idea of who I think could EZA. There are some wildcard picks in there that I think are less likely than others, but some that I do think are a little bit more likely. So if we start off with Majin Buu Saga, Majin Buu Saga has way more options because it has a lot of Dokkan Fest exclusives that don't have EZAs yet compared to the GT side. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more EZAs overall from the Majin Buu Saga side, and then depending on what happens in part 2, that could shift, but I guess we'll see as we go along. So starting off straight away, I think one of the top picks that a lot of people really want to see is the dual Dokkan Fest of the Int Super Saiyan 2 Goku that transforms into Super Saiyan 3, and then Tech Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta that transforms into Majin Vegeta. This guy's still one of the best partners for Int Majin Vegeta, and he can still do reasonably well. He's just kind of starting to fall off a little bit. So him getting an EZA and becoming really good would obviously make that rotation with him and the Int Majin Vegeta super good again. The one thing that we definitely would like to see from this guy in particular is orb changing. Both of them have abilities that require them to get a certain amount of orbs. In their starting form, I was going to say base, but obviously the Super Saiyan 2, the base form of the card, they need to get 3 orbs in order to get a little bit of extra attack and defense. And then with Goku, you need 3 orbs to get some dodge chance, and then 6 orbs to get effective against all types. And then with Vegeta, you need 3 orbs to get effective against all types, and 6 orbs for guard, which is obviously very useful ability, especially when he greatly raises defense on his super attack. So giving these guys some sort of orb changing, not only would it be super beneficial to their own kit, but then obviously it would help out the #1 criticism of running this guy and the Int Majin Vegeta together, which is that they are both hungry for specific amounts of orbs, and often having them both on the same rotation can make that slightly awkward. So I think these two would make an absolutely perfect addition for like the next chapter of the Destined Rivals, basically taking the place of the God Goku and God Vegeta one. Even though they are Dokkan Fest exclusives and not side banner units, this obviously, like I say, would be the new Destined Rivals EZA, which I think would be very good. And the units like on JP are what, 3 and a bit years old, so I think it's perfectly reasonable time for them to get an EZA. Then we move on to the other potential option for a double EZA, which is Gotenks and Transforming Buu. Now they came out on JP in April 2020, so that means they're almost 3 years old, right? Not you know, over 2.5 years, which we've seen units EZA somewhat out of order based on the themes of celebrations. And the thing is, there's a lot of units in this video that we might say, oh, you know, maybe it's a bit too early for them to EZA. But I actually saw a comment on one of my previous videos talking about EZAs, where somebody said if a unit is no longer like usable in the meta, or no longer like, you know, one of the better units to use in the meta, then you can argue that it's not too early for them to get an EZA. Because realistically, if you're going into like difficult red zone content, you running this Goku, I mean, you can bank on the 33% chance to dodge, or the potential of him not taking a lot of hits, because he doesn't raise defense on super, he raises attack. So this is a unit that you don't really use in difficult content anymore, so you can easily argue that it's not too early for him to get an EZA. And then I would say the same is probably true about Gotenks and the Evil Buu. Now both of these units are in that weird kind of space like Tech Zamasu and AGL Zamasu and Tech Trunks, where they transform straight away on their next turn. So the first turn I wouldn't necessarily expect to see like crazy amounts from them, but I've always really liked this Gotenks, and once you transform into Super Saiyan, he has a built-in chance to additional, which means with hidden potential he can triple super, and he greatly raises defense with each super, so he can actually get to a reasonable level of defense, or at least he could when he was like relevant. Obviously now the level of defense that he gets to is not quite good enough, but he also has a 70% chance to stun on those supers, which made him really good for Super Battle Road. And then Buu, unfortunately, once he transformed into the Evil Buu, the defense was always kind of the main weakness with this unit, because they have some damage reduction, and then this guy picks up a 30% chance to dodge, but their actual base defense was always super low. And then even once you transform into Super Buu, As you can see, he has no defense in his passive at all. He raises defense a little bit on super and then has 50% damage reduction. But now with the level that bosses are like hitting for, this is just not good enough, right? So you can easily argue that these units need an EZA. When Gotenks goes Super Saiyan 3, I was always quite impressed with him, especially in the first 4 turns, where you get the 70% chance of launching an additional. So you would very often see triple super turns, doing pretty decent attack stat numbers, and having relatively decent defense, at least for that time. So these guys with an EZA could go absolutely crazy. Then, of course, we could see a wild card, right? I could kind of expect to see this as like the EX part, kind of like the 4th anniversary ones, where they come as a bit of a surprise at the end. Imagine if these guys got an EZA, right? The Dual Dokkan Fest. Because, again, these guys are over 2 years old now. Almost 2.5, not quite, right? So I could see them getting an EZA, because unless we're getting another big Majin Buu Saga celebration during 2023, there's nowhere these guys really fit in, because people thought they might get their EZAs during the Worldwide celebration just because they were Worldwide celebration units, but they didn't fit the theme, so they didn't get an EZA. So they could potentially get one at the end of this celebration. I don't want to spend too much time dwelling on these units, because I don't know how likely this is, but like, Super Vegito was arguably the best unit in the game for quite a while when he came out. So if he got an EZA, as long as they didn't fumble it completely, he would probably be the best unit in the game again. So that would be pretty crazy. And then I always liked Buu Tanks like on the same level as Vegito. I had them both at 55% after the Worldwide celebration. I didn't get super lucky on their banners. And with Global having to wait 11 months for them to come back, it means I had to play with them for basically a whole year at 55%. And at 55%, I often actually liked Buu a little bit more than Vegito. Obviously, you couldn't discount all the crazy damage Vegito can do when you're getting off a ton of counters, but I've always really liked both of these units, so them getting an EZA, they could be absolutely insane. And then, last but not least, I threw in this guy, the LR Super Saiyan 2 Angel Vegeta. I mean, just look at the card, right? It's Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 3 Goku in the background in the unit Super. That's basically what the new LR is, but slightly different. So this guy getting an EZA fits absolutely perfectly with the celebration, and potentially would be a great partner for the new unit. I expect them to share a decent amount of links. This Vegeta needs a Majin Buu Saga ally whose name includes Goku in order to be at his full potential. So honestly, I feel like it would almost be a huge fumble if they don't EZA this guy during this celebration, because he has gotten to the point where he's pretty much unusable. He's about 2.5 years old, but you can't really use him in difficult content nowadays. So yeah, him getting an EZA would be absolutely insane. And then funnily enough, apparently I didn't open a page for this guy, but we all have everyone's #1 pick for a solo Dokkan Fest exclusive to get an EZA, which is the physical Super Vegito, because this guy's long overdue for an EZA. I mean, look how old he is on JP. October 2017. This unit is over 5 years old and doesn't have an EZA. That is actually kind of crazy. So I could maybe see him getting an EZA during this celebration. And funnily enough, I don't know if they would do this, right, with crossing over the themes. But considering we got Omega Shenron and Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta together as an EZA last time, they're clearly like willing to put 2 Dokkan Fest exclusives together. Because GT doesn't have as many EZAs, imagine if they did like a crossover like Extreme Z battle where it was the EZA for physical Super Vegito and Int Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta at the same time. So Int Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is one of the few Dokkan Fest exclusives for GT that actually still needs an EZA. Unfortunately though, he released at near the end of 2020. So realistically, this unit is what, 2 years and about 3 months old. And the Tech one got an EZA last year. So it's one of those things where I wouldn't bet money that this guy's going to get an EZA, but as one of the few remaining Dokkan Fest exclusives from GT that doesn't have one, there's not a huge amount of options that they can really go with. And if you use this guy in some of the harder, like, red zone stages, he can still hold his own to a certain degree, but he definitely is starting to show his age a little bit. So an EZA for him would be pretty cool, I think. It would essentially replace the tech one from last year, even though you obviously can run them together as long as it's not in an EZA event. But I think this guy getting an EZA would be pretty hype for the celebration overall, because the GT team, with that new duo card that's coming out, we're going to need some more buffs to the GT team other than just them, especially considering their side banner unit is Ice and Nova, who you're probably not going to run with them very often. So I think this guy getting an EZA would be pretty cool. And honestly, the idea of them actually doing like him and him together as one Extreme Z battle, I think that would actually be pretty cool. So in terms of other GT units, there's some units that have needed EZAs for a long time. One of them is this Super Saiyan 3 GT Goku that transforms into a golden ape. He came out during the 2nd anniversary. So he is 5 years old when, oh, sorry, 6 years old when the anniversary starts. Like, that is, he's probably, is he one of the oldest units that doesn't have an EZA? Now, he was the side banner unit for Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I think, right? So you could argue that he would EZA as a sub-EZA from the Super Saiyan 4's one. But as we saw with the gods from last year, they don't have to do that, right? They can put 1, 2, or even more of these units together as their own separate Extreme Z battle because, hey, it's the anniversary, right? They can do stuff differently if they want to. This guy with an EZA could be really, really good. His kit is basically nothing, right? He is a great ape character and he gives all allies 33% attack. So with an EZA, it's wide open for them to give him any sort of abilities they want. Obviously, he's primarily going to be a support unit that has the giant ape transformation, but he could be very, very good on essentially any team you can run him on as long as he becomes a good unit to run at the current meta level. Like, he kind of was like that back in the day where you could just throw him on any team because he gives everyone that extra attack buff. And then he could be very, very good. I know people have wanted to see this guy EZA for a long time because he does have Saiyan Raw, so obviously he always worked really well with the Super Saiyan 4s. The rotation of him and STR Super Saiyan 4 Goku after the 2nd anniversary was the hardest hitting rotation in the game for a significant amount of time, right? And then for other GT characters that haven't had an EZA that have been around for a very long time, we also have these two. Now, I'm fairly sure these two were the side banner units during the 2nd anniversary. So unless both banners had 2 side banner units, because they have the same release date. Did Goku's banner have 2 side banner units and Vegeta's only have 1? Or is there another one that I'm missing? I'd actually have to look into that. But all 3 of these guys have the same release date. Now, considering they are the main trio of GT, I personally don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that we could get an Extreme Z battle like the gods with God Vegeta and God Goku, but with all 3 of these at the same time. Now, again, like I said at the beginning, people would be disappointed to not get separate EZAs and therefore get more stones, but you have to remember that these are all side banner units, so in theory they wouldn't even get their own Extreme Z battles anyway. They would just be sub-EZAs from events that already exist. So then, instead of getting no stones, you know, they could bump the total up to 50 or even 60 and just do an Extreme Z battle for all 3 of these together. Because Pan is a support unit, attack and defense for all allies when HP is above. Hopefully we'd cut that HP restriction, and then she's pretty much an open book in terms of what they can do for her passive, or a blank slate I should say, because she just gives support and does nothing else. So she could end up being a very, very good, like, must-run support for the new GT team that comes out with the new LR. And then Trunks, he just has attack on super. So again, he could easily have any sort of kit, have some starting base turn attack and defense. Now, we've seen nowadays units that get attack and defense on super can end up being really, really good. Imagine if this guy had like 100% attack and defense, and then attack and defense 100% when performing a super, and then had some sort of super attack effect, like greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn. When you have him on rotation with support, the fact that he'd be getting 100% to both when performing a super, his stats would then actually end up being quite good. So I do think these guys could make a very good combo of EZAs. But I wanted to throw one other wild card in there, which is kind of like the GT version of Buu and Vegito getting an EZA, and that is the Dual Dokkan Fest GT Super Saiyans, the Goku and Vegeta. Now with these guys, I'm sure immediately people will say, oh no, it's way too soon for them to get an EZA. They are, what, not even 2 years old at this point? Like a year and 9 months, something like that, year and 8 months. So yeah, it's very early for them to be getting an EZA, but I take us back to the thing that I said earlier about the comment on one of my other videos. If units are not usable in the current meta anymore, then it's not too early to give them an EZA. And I think people would, I don't think many people would argue that these guys are super usable in, like, you know, all the new hard red zone boss fights, right? Like all of these guys, even if you pick up a decent amount of orbs, I should say both of these guys, there's only 2 of them, even if you pick up a decent amount of orbs, like they're not tanking hits from red zone bosses very well. So it's one of those things, whilst I think it is unlikely, I could see this as being a really hype announcement like the LR Super Saiyan 4s, where if we got to the EX part of the anniversary and they announced that these 2 guys were going to get an EZA, I personally think people would be very excited, or at least I know I would. Now there's one other unit that I didn't bring up here because I only looked at GT Heroes, so if we bring up the GT page here, now we don't know what's going on in part 2. Some of us think we'll see villains, right, like a Carnival LR Kid Buu, Carnival LR Omega Shenron. Other people think we'll just see more Spirit Bomb stuff, so we could get, you know, Super Saiyan Blue, Kaioken Goku from the Universe Survival Saga Spirit Bomb that transforms into UI maybe. But if we are getting some villain stuff in part 2, we can't forget about this guy right here. Now, I've said many times before that I think his EZA could be being saved for a Dokkan Fest baby, but especially if they're going to drop a standalone LR EZA like this guy for the Buu Saga one, then I don't see any reason why we couldn't get an LR EZA for GT as well. So those are the units off the top of my head that I think either could or potentially will get an EZA. There probably are other ones as well, so let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. But most importantly, more so rather than who you think will actually get an EZA, let me know who the single EZA, even if it is maybe the dual one, right? You can get, I guess you can pick 2. But what is the single EZA that would make this anniversary the most hype for you? Let me know down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.